Toss, call it in the air.
Yes. Heads.
9. Alright, you guys
All
go.
day. All day.
Pros first.
Okay, I'll start. Okay.
Thank you.
So I give my opinion first?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe that we should be able to pick who our teachers are because, I mean, it's our education. It's for our future. If I have a bad teacher and I can't do anything about it, it's going to screw up my whole, well, it's not necessarily going to mess it all up, but it can affect it in a very dramatic way. And I can't do anything about it. And I find that very unfair because that's my future. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, this is like a, talk about this in my lunch.
Cherokee.
Okay, well, I'll go. So you're saying you wanted to choose the teacher who was better, but it doesn't always end up like that. It ends up as a popularity contest for teachers, and I don't think that's fair because one class is overcrowded and one class is undercrowded, and my mom's a teacher and I don't think that's fair because hers, Caitlin, don't do that. And her class has one class can have 40 kids and one class can have 20, and I don't think that's fair.
Alright.
Okay, well, talking about the overcrowding issues and whatnot, I think that it holds a teacher accountable in a sense to make sure that they properly give their coursework and stuff, so therefore you should be able to pick your teacher.
While I feel for your need for teachers being held accountable just like students are held accountable, well, I feel that if you give students the choice, the majority of the students, well, I don't share your faith for students, so, I think that students will just go to whatever teacher gives them the least work and lets them pass with the least effort, which in turn would affect all the people who do want an education, because in the future, everybody gets an equal vote. We're a democracy here, so I'd rather have people who have been forced to learn rather than giving them the choice to not learn.
Quick reminder, no names of references. It's just reminding.
I was trying so hard against that.
Crystal Faith.
Yeah, I know you said that if people have the choice, they might take the easier way out. But I think that, say you know that the certain teacher that you want teaches you a subject, say math. Say you know this teacher teaches you really well, and you learn their style of teaching, and you actually learn that way a lot better. If you go to them, you're not going to slack off. You're going to do your best because you know that that's going to make you successful. Instead of getting stuck in some class where you don't understand anything and you have no choice but to stay there.
One thing that does happen when it really comes to trying to choose your teacher is, I believe in this discussion we're talking specifically high school, correct?
Yes.
So if you choose a teacher and you always have the teacher that you want and they're teaching you this way, then you move on to college and you're forced into some teacher that you have no idea whatever the hell he's doing. He's teaching how he wants to. I mean, think about it in that sense. If you're choosing your teacher here and getting exactly the way you want, and then you go somewhere else and you're completely new to what this guy's doing, how are you going to know how to cope with this when you haven't already had this thing of you're just getting a random teacher in high school that's teaching you and actually helping you, when in college it's not the same like that.
Good point. Going from,
I had a question actually. Are we doing the philosophical chairs where if you agree with a point you switch, or are we just staying?
Yes.
Alright.
Dun, 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 dun,
Kennedy.
dun. Oh.
I'm going off of the part where, you guys said that you would slack off in a certain, but I think that if you're gonna slack off, it doesn't matter which teacher it is. You can slack off with a really good teacher, you can slack off with a teacher that barely gives you any work. I think that's your decision, because I can slack off in any class I want to, but I choose not to. And that's not because of the teacher, that's because of you.
Well, you say it's because of you, and in a way it is, but it's harder to slack off when the teachers are on you about it all the time. And if you just have a teacher that doesn't mind or likes you, or if you get to pick your teacher, they're not gonna. If you really get to pick your teacher, teachers are gonna most likely try to get you to like them so that they have a class, because no teacher's gonna want to have a class with one person, and that's what's gonna happen.
Ms. Wallace.
to relate to what Andrew was saying, from college to
from high school to college is a transition, and from freshman year to whatever you go to in high school is a transition, as well as switching a course is a transition. So when one teacher teaches one way and you understand Cornell notes or get into the habit of one thing, and then you have to switch just to understand something is really hard, and going from high school to college is really hard, so it really shouldn't matter.
I know she was this
yeah.
side.
If you have the diversity of different teachers and different styles now, different teachers teach you in different ways and you get used to a whole bunch of different things and it gives you a better variety and more knowledge, more ways of learning, more ways of thinking, which would make it easier once you got into college. But if you had the choice to pick teachers, you would probably just pick the same teacher because people don't like change as a general rule.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, there's like diversity and you can learn different ways of teaching, but I mean, like, if you aren't in the class that you wanted originally and you've learned previous to that way and you didn't get the teacher that you wanted who does teach that way, you could just use those methods into the course that you're not, well, into the teacher or class that you're in that you didn't want. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just use those methods instead of just like adapting to the other ones. You could just keep using yours and use it for that one.
So are you defending our side?
Yeah, you defended
Yeah.
You just defended our position.
Because
I'm saying like you could choose who you want, but I mean like if you didn't get to choose, like you're saying that there would be like one teacher who's favored and one who's not. But I mean like if you were to choose, like say they limit the amount of like people per classroom, like there's 30 here, 30 here, 30 here, and like whoever turns it in first gets to get that one. And then you would, if you weren't chosen, then you would just use those ideas into the next, you know.
So you're proposing compromise?
Why are you talking? Yes, we recognize.
But the idea is that you guys are supposed to be choosing your teachers. If you are limited to how many kids are in your class, technically you're not choosing what you want. So wouldn't that defeat the purpose? Because then you just be stuck with a teacher you didn't want in the first place.
But I have a question. Like, do we switch sides? Do your count start over? Like, you still have to wait?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Cannon, you had your hand up a while ago.
Well, I think what Heather was trying to say is that, like, you can choose your teacher, and because you like the methods that they teach you, like the certain way of taking notes or something, and even when you get a new teacher in college, you can still use the things that good teacher that you liked taught you in order to do better in college.
Ryan.
So you're saying that by working with the same teacher, you can learn a method with which you can handle any of your other teachers. However, not everyone is going to teach in the same style, nor are we going to end up with teachers that you like, dislike. Everyone's different, every teacher is different, and in the real world, you're really not going to have a choice. It's whether you're working with someone you like, dislike, can understand, can't understand. So you need the experience of dealing with multiple people, multiple teachers in order to be able to adapt to the different situations you'll come up with in life.
Jacinda.
I think that although you have to kind of learn to adapt for, you know, your life after high school, I think that when you're getting prepared to go into college, that you should have the choice of being prepared with someone that you understand with better. That way you don't go into college not knowing your fundamentals and not understanding something because you never got that background built up in high school to where you really got the subject, and then going basically like blindsided into college because you never quite understood that, I guess, in a way.
Mr. Culver.
I see how you're saying that it'd be good to get a good foundation in high school, but if you get a good diversity of different teaching styles, in the like classes of like 30 or something in high school, the huge classes in college, they're going to be a lot easier to adapt to or understand.
I have a question. Can we like restate the prompt because I feel like we're like
I don't know, we'll actually cut it now because we are out of time. So let's debrief real quick. Have a seat. We'll debrief. We'll talk.